Get Certified Together program is created by Technocofe, your free online knowledge sharing website, based out in London.
We will be planning probably after Christmas, probably in the next year, because till then we can simply cover these old domains, and not all domains, but at least still cloud security operations. So after that we can have one or two episode of discussion where we will be calling CCSP people who are already certified in CCSP before kind of like really going into the final stage.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Get Certified Together series. I'm recording episode number 40 today, and it's really a big coincidence that by the time I'm recording episode number 40, I have also seen 40,000 downloads for the whole series, so it's kind of a big number for me. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks so much for following this whole series. I know that maybe some of the content is not that properly covered, or maybe you can find much better content somewhere else as well, but I'm just doing whatever best I can do from my side. And if you guys are gaining anything from this whole effort of mine, then thanks for that. I really appreciate you guys come back and listen to all the episodes. So first of all, thanks for that. Like I said, this is episode number 40. This episode is supposed to be recorded in month of October, but unfortunately I got chance to only record one episode in the October, so we are kind of like a one episode due. So I'll try to record at least 3 episodes in the month of November, and my target is before Christmas holidays we finish this domain, which is cloud security operations, completely, and that will actually give us kind of like a good time to have more than 50% syllabus already covered. So that's my plan. I'll try to wrap that before the Christmas holidays, so bear with me and hopefully we will achieve that. On another note, I want to share something interesting with you guys. I finally have done one of kind of like a first level of certification given by IC Square, which is certified in cybersecurity. This is something I don't recall in one of the previous episodes. I told you that whenever you register yourself kind of like a first associate member, first level member of IC Square, they give you free coupon of taking this exam. That's what I have got, and I went for it, and that was another reason that I was not able to record any episode in the month of October, because exam was on November 1st week. So for the whole 15 or 20 days I was revising everything, all the concepts around that. Good part about this certification is even the content for the certification is provided by IC Square, so you can find free online training on the same website itself. And of course you will get a free coupon, which on itself I think it's around $150, which is kind of like a big amount. Gone are those days when you can get your some CCNA or some basic AWS associate certificates in $150. Now range is way higher, and all good certification they start with $500 or $600. So this is also a good amount. $150 is a good amount, and like I said, it's a free of cost, and you can get yourself as well the first attempt completely from the IC Square side. So I gave that exam. It was 2 hour long. I had to visit to a center. That's another challenge for me because to be honest, this is the first time I am giving something face to face or something physically. Most of the certification which I have given till now, irrespective of the domain or technology, I have always given remotely proctored. So I am kind of that guy which is more habitual or more familiar with the remotely proctored exam. But I felt like I'm giving my driving license exam because I was reading about that center and it was same where they take driving license or all other exam of different organizations. A lot of people comes there on the same center. So I was the one who was giving this certified in cybersecurity. So it was 2 hour long, all MCQs. Some of them were really beginner level. Some of them were tricky as well. And by end of it, I was not really sure that I will be passing that exam or I will be failing. That actually tells you the level of the exam. It's not really the beginner level. So by the end of exam, if you are really confident that you're gonna pass that exam, that means it's really easy. But that was not the case with me. I was still in doubt because again, it was first time with ISSQA, so we hear a lot about their way of marking and these advanced softwares of changing the questions as per the answers someone giving in the real time. So a lot of things are happening on the software on which you are submitting your answer. So I was not really sure, to be honest. But yeah, I passed it. And one more thing which I happened to be experiencing for the first time was not going back to the question. I know this is something which I have to change my mindset now, but I'm really into that way of delivering the exam. Whenever I'm giving one exam, I always like to go back and get another look on all the answers which I have given. If I have chance or if I have to give a second thought, then I can change that answer. Maybe in second thought, sometime you click to the right answer because you are in a different thought process, and then it's easier for you. This is something which has been taught to us since childhood, that before submitting your answers, just have a look on your answer sheet. So that was my habit as well. But it doesn't really work here in case of ISSQA, where you cannot really go back. There's no back button. So if you submit an answer, that's it. You cannot go back and change it, or you cannot go back and modify it. So that's another thing which I was kind of like facing it for the first time. But it was a good experience. Of course, when I finally in the end of the exam, when I get my result sheet, it was a happy experience. I was feeling kind of like satisfied with that because of course it's a beginner level exam and I'm not really into cybersecurity or I'm not really into cloud security. But because of this podcast, which I record every 2 weeks, I have quite a good knowledge by now. So maybe not in kind of like hands-on experience, but I have good working knowledge to find my way around. So it was not that tough for me, but because it's a first level of exam. And why I was really feeling happy because of clearing this exam, because once you pass that exam, then you will be kind of like a proper member of the ISSQA. So moment I passed that exam, I got I think it's next day, so or after 48 hours, I can't recall now. So I got one link which actually have my certificate details and everything, and on that link itself it was mentioned that now you are a proper member of ISSQA. But before that, you need to share your details, you need to share your experience and everything, and you don't need endorsement because this is a beginner level of exam. For this you don't need endorsement of another ISSQA member or another certified person. So it's not required. You simply have to submit your details and they will make you a member of ISSQA. So that's the big thing, because now I am a member of ISSQA, a proper member. Now I can see my CP portal as well, where I can see if I'm listening to some podcast or I'm reading some book related to info security. I can go and submit those details and I will be getting CPE points. So I have to get around 45 CPE points in 3 years, and the webinars which I am attending or any sort of project work which is unique in terms of info security or cyber security, I can submit everything there. It's not like no one will gonna check those things. They clearly mention that it might be audited now and then, so you have to be truthful. You cannot just simply say that I'm reading a particular book and later you cannot prove that. To be honest, I'm not sure how they really work out that part, because if I claim that I have read some book and someone comes and asks me where's that book, then I can simply say that I have sold it now. So I'm not really sure how it really works, but yeah, that's the CPE portal. That's the real reason of my happiness, because now I am a proper full-fledged member of ISSQA. So that's the thing which I wanted to share with you guys before we proceed with today's episode. I am also planning to have another round of expert level discussion with some of the industry experts who have already certified themselves in CCSP. So we have a couple of them before as well, and something similar which we will be planning probably after Christmas, probably in the next year, because till then we can simply cover these all domains, and not all domains, but at least still cloud security operations. So after that we can have one or two episode of discussion where we will be calling CCSP people who are already certified in CCSP before kind of like really going into the final stage of the whole syllabus, and maybe having another revision session, and then we can plan for CCSP as well. But again, that's for CCSP. Certified in cybersecurity, which I have given, is, again, I will reiterate, it's completely free. It's given by SE Square. So if you be an associate member, please go with it. It's not that tough. You have to just learn all the concepts which they have given in their own documentation online, which is free of cost again, and you can easily clear that, and you can be a proper member as well. You have to pay a 1-year fees as well. I have to remind that. So I think I paid around $45 for that, but again, that is kind of nominal. If you are fully into this mindset that you want to be a member and you want to be in the cybersecurity, so it's completely upon you, but it's worth an effort, and it's of course it's good to have that kind of membership so as you can prove that you are into this field. Alright, that's it for introduction. Let's begin with proper session of today's episode. Before that, let's take a quick short break.
After the holidays, there's so much to clean up and get ready for the coming year. This leaves me exhausted and a lot of things falling off my to-do list. It's time to lock in, and Omaha Steaks delivers everything you crave to reset after the holidays. An order from them means having high-quality Omaha steaks on hand at all times. I'm a big meat lover myself, and I always go with medium rare. But there's also plenty of poultry and other options available. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. A family-owned company with over 100 years of expertise in the meat industry. Let Omaha Steaks deliver high-quality proteins right to your door. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their end-of-season sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code YUM at checkout. That's OMAHA steaks.com, promo code YUM. Terms apply. See site for details. Go to www.omahasteaks.com to get 50% off site-wide during their end-of-season sale. And use promo code YUM at checkout for an extra $35 off. Minimum purchase may apply. Thanks to Omaha Steaks for sponsoring us.
Okay, welcome back. So we have already covered some of the topics of cloud security operations. I think in last episode we covered something around different tiers of data centers, different physical or different environmental factors which one must be taking care if they are deploying a private cloud, or even if you are running on the public cloud, you have to be aware of those factors. Maybe you are not actually the end user, maybe you will be hired kind of like an AWS data center guy, so you must be aware of those aspects. Even though if you are working on public cloud as well, you have to understand how it really works in case of data center, how those environmental factors, those location, humidity, they affect a decision how our cloud security is there, what kind of strategies we can put in place. I think some of the concepts which I forgot to mention last time but I can share now are around the badge process, where you have a security badge who can access in and out, or you can put biometric access doors onto your entry of data center. So that's one of the concepts related to cloud security operations as well, in terms of physical infrastructure or your data center. So we have covered all these topics. Today we will be moving more towards the actual operations of infrastructure which is in there. So by infrastructure we can easily now understand what three components we are talking about. We are talking about compute, we are talking about network, and storage. Let's begin with compute. So compute again is kind of like a physical server. You must be having big servers whenever you talk about cloud, because virtualization layer which is running on top of your physical server must be able to support different virtual machines or different Kubernetes or containers, different clusters. To achieve that, you need those physical servers with the high compute power. So maybe if you are really into big analytics world, then maybe you are using GPUs, you are using NVIDIA drivers, or even you are using high specs related to RAM. All these aspects are related to your physical server. Now, whenever a physical server boots up, it doesn't have an operating system by default, right? You will be putting something, maybe Ubuntu or maybe Linux, any kind of like Linux distribution or Windows server. You need to put on top of that, but something is booting up at the first place, which is giving you interface to install your operating system. That is BIOS. So BIOS is basic input output system, which is kind of like a emulator or kind of a very lightweight software which is coming by default on the physical server, and that will actually boot up all the firmwares, and that will help provide you an initial installation environment. Now, earlier we used to have this legacy BIOS which was completely unencrypted and completely open to any kind of installation. Now we have more secure way of booting up or secure way of installing your operating system, and we have this UEFI enabled system. So if you are not really into this physical infrastructure world, or if you are new to that, then UEFI is another way of booting up your BIOS or bringing up your initial server in an encrypted way. So it's not like it will first need some kind of authentication key. I will not go deep into detail how it will really work, but you can understand that if you are using a UEFI enabled BIOS system, then it will be more secure compared to legacy, because it will be using encrypted communication between the source and between the server and different components which are part of that server. On top of that, you can also install trusted platform modules or TPM. Now, role of TPM is something which is really comes in handy if your server or if your physical device, or even if your, for example, your laptop gets stolen, or someone tries to hacks into your server from BIOS, or directly trying to read your encrypted disk. Then TPM is the system, or is a chip on your microprocessor which can immediately shut down the whole infrastructure. So your physical server will be triggered of a shutdown if it detects that there is something really wrong with the disk when someone is trying to do something which is malicious and which can lead to kind of like a security threat. That's the physical infrastructure point of view, what things we can do or to make it more secure. Of course, we have a kind of like out of band management network for all these infrastructure. So be it network, storage, or even compute. Remember I told you about different networking planes: control plane, data plane, management plane. Those are for the application level traffic or server level traffic. But what if your whole front end goes down, or what if your main network goes down, or someone actually hacks into your main network? Then you need kind of like a backdoor to go into your server or to go into your machines and do some kind of like basic, at least basic level of troubleshooting, get basic level of node, event logs and everything. Or you can have kind of like remote console as well. So we set up a different network usually, which is out of band network, to access that whole infrastructure from the backend. And that is again part of like, it's more towards part of like your private cloud security, but this backend or out of band management is really important to make sure that your servers are always accessible even though your main network goes down. Now, talking about network, we have network controllers as well. Now, network controllers are nothing but equipments which you are using to manage your whole networking. They can be part of the same box as well. For example, you may have some smart routers or some smart firewalls or next generation firewalls, or you can have this software defined networking as well, where your control or management plane is sitting on a different box, and your data plane or virtual switches are of course running on a different box, and you're controlling everything from a single management plane or a single management controller. It's completely upon you how much money you have, or how much knowledge your networking guy have, how much investment you want to put in terms of setting up that networking infrastructure. But networking controller or control of network is really important, because in terms of cloud, we are accessing everything from the internet, right? Or even though it's not on internet, maybe we are accessing from VPN from our remote laptops. In case of maybe private cloud, my application is running privately on some physical infrastructure owned by my organization, which I want to access from my laptop. It's completely valid use case, especially after COVID, we have this remote work environments. So I'll be accessing that infrastructure from my VPN. Everything is connected, or everything is going via network tunnel or via some network equipment somewhere. So that's why it's really important that we have to plan and design not only the kind of like scalability of that networking infrastructure, but security of that networking infra as well. Now, few important concepts around networking security or network security, which I really encountered recently in one of my cybersecurity exam as well, is around IDES and IPS, which is Intrusion Detection System and Intrusion Prevention System. We, I think, read about it in CompTIA exam as well. So it's really just your softwares or your advanced agents or solutions which help you detect if there is something going wrong in the network, if someone is trying to pull data from somewhere, or if someone is from inside is trying to push data to somewhere, or there is some a malicious user which is not known, unknown entity which is trying to come inside your application and trying to run some commands or trying to do something you can detect it using these solutions. That's part of your networking security infrastructure as well. Another concept which is not really that expensive, which is kind of like a day zero requirement which anyone should be following, is segmentation. Your network should be always segmented. If you have 3 applications running onto your server, and then again you have 4 or 5 different kind of physical server, then these 4 or 5 different kind of server which is used by different teams or different departments should be having a different segment of network. Something similar will be there for applications. So application for different requirements should be having their own segment of network. And I just now told you about out-of-band management network as well, which is a completely different segment altogether. So this segmentation actually reduce your surface area of attack if something goes wrong, or if you're one of the network, or if you're one of the server is compromised. If everything is unsegmented and everyone is using the same big block of network, then it will be easier for anyone to get into the one system and then just find the way or find the path for other servers. But if network is segmented, then even though one part is compromised, you still have other parts secure because they are in a different segment. So that's why I said segmentation doesn't require a different solution, and it's completely free of cost. You just have to plan it out in day zero itself. Now from network control, we comes to another concept, which is storage control. Now storage control, it was not that relevant before, or was not that important, because we were having a single storage box with running a lot of hard disk or SSDs, and everyone was using that storage. Now we have more and more advanced use cases around our storage area network. We are building big SANs where all the physical server or physical entities infrastructure will be connected via virtual logical units to these backend block devices and accessing the storage which is somewhere inside your same premise as well. But that storage will be having all the disks, and all those physical infrastructure via the storage network will be connected to these storage disks, and they will be using them as backend. So it's kind of like a simple layman term of storage area network. Now something similar like what we discussed about network control as well. This is something which is used by everyone. We all want to access some infrastructure. We will be storing some files. We will be storing some data onto it. Our application will be require some kind of backend to create databases, or even using it as their base OS. So maybe my libraries of my application, my processes, my codes will be there, will be requiring some kinds of storage system or storage backend. And that's why storage management or operations security is now another big challenge, because storage area network is, if you think practically, it's just a backend network, and it's not coming in the front end, or it's not accessible by internet. It's something which is way behind your all the front infrastructure. It's something which is in the backend itself. But still, if it's compromised, anyone can have access to all the files, or anyone can have access to all the disks. If you are using block storage, risk is not really that someone will read your data. Risk is someone can hack into your system and they can encrypt your data, and then will ask money to give the data back to you. That's more risky, because reading the file itself is way tough now, because of all these default encryption mechanism, because of all the efforts someone have to put in to read the files. It's easier to just get into the system, encrypt those files, and then ask money from the users that if you want to those files to decrypt it, give us money. So that's why storage operation security or storage control is really important now. First of all, we have to decide what kind of storage we want to use. We can use block level storage or block devices, or we can have object storage where my whole file will be stored as it is. So my PDF, my photographs, my emails will be stored as it is, kind of like a random set of data. Block devices or block level storage is more kind of like streamlined. All the information is first broken into blocks, and then those blocks will be stored in the backend. So it's of course completely depend on the use case, especially in public cloud, because in public cloud you clearly have two options of using storage. You can use a block level storage, or you can use an object level storage. Based on the kind of storage which you are using, you have your own security risks, and of course you have your own security operation mechanism. For example, object level storage, it's way easier to read those because those are stored as it is as a file, but it's really tough to hack into those systems where you are storing your whole files. Because for example, if you are storing something on public cloud, AWS S3 storage, which is object level storage, we don't know where the object storage are stored in the backend. What at max anyone can do is they can somehow get hold of our credential, our AWS credential, and get access to our buckets, but they cannot really go into AWS data center and find out where those files are stored. So object level storage have this security risk associated with someone can read your data if you're not keeping kind of like your access to that data secure. Block level storage is more towards someone can really get hold of your disk, because they are real disk which even in public cloud, you can clearly see your storage volumes associated to your instances or associated to your virtual machine, your containers. And in case of private cloud, those are kind of like real SSDs, which anyone can see, anyone can plug in, plug out in case of private cloud. In case of public cloud, anyone can detach it from your instance. That's more riskier. It's more riskier in terms of someone can really impact your whole disk, or someone can really make that disk itself unusable. Instead of simply trying to read files, they can have more advanced level of security threats if you are using only block level storage. Of course, in case of public cloud or even in private cloud, we have option of using both, and it's always good to have both. Keep some data onto the one type of disk and one data on another type of disk. That's how actually we also do it as a cloud architect. We always suggest anyone that use different kind of storages. Now, in case of private storages, we can create a resiliency by having the RAIDs. So we can have RAID 0, RAID 1 type of mechanisms. So as we can create multiple copies of the same file, or we can create at least 2 copies of one file, or we can even keep 2 files on different disks. So we can put in a lot of different type of mechanism to make our on-prem infrastructure or our on-prem physical storage more usable or more resilient. Archiving and deletion is another key component, because especially if you are keeping your data onto the cloud, you have to make sure that you're tracking that information. This is something we already read about in data lifecycle as well. If your data is not in use, either archive it or delete it, and where that data is stored or where that archiving will be happening again onto the storage. So if you are, for example, putting some files on S3 buckets and you foresee that those files will not be required for another maybe 6 months or 1 year, then just simply archive them. If you keep them on the same bucket, they are more prone to hacked upon or prone to attack, as they are expensive as well, because AWS will be charging more for that. So you just archive those and store them somewhere into a different storage plan. So you pay less as well, and they are now more secure as well, because AWS will be ensuring that they are putting next level of security on some data which is archived. They are not easily readable or they are not easily accessible now. If you are not needing anything right away, or you foresee that they are not required at all, maybe in any future events, just delete them. Don't keep them as it is, because in public cloud, it's easy to lose your data if you are not deleting them or you're not cleaning them properly from the disk. And all this discussion around different storages or different storage networks, networking control, storage management, processor, multi-tenancy is one thing which is always going to scare you when you're talking about cloud, because all these 3 components which we talked about just now will be used by multiple different users at the same time. So in terms of availability, you have to make sure that you have ample resources. You don't want your storage or you don't want your network to get overwhelmed because so many people are suddenly trying to access your application. So if you are talking about cloud or cloud application, remember one of the component of not cloud application or cloud security, any kind of info security is availability in the CIA triad. So availability can be lost if your system get overwhelmed. So you have to make sure in case of like multi-tenant environment, you have ample number of resources so that your availability of data or availability of information is always there. In terms of access control, all the equipments, irrespective of their type, so be it storage control or be it networking equipments, routers, firewalls, processors, everything should be having a proper access control with them as well. So access control is not only for applications which are running onto the cloud or applications which you are creating or your operating system which you are installing, but access control of your, for example, your BIOS as well, access control of your routers, your switches, or your storage management network. Who can go inside those systems? They should be also tracked. They should also be kind of part of the same thought process where you have, when you are planning your access control, you should be planning, if you are using, for example, Active Directory or you are using single sign-on, make sure that you are keeping everything part of that planning, so you don't skip your physical infrastructure thinking that someone is not logging into your router and firewall every day, right? But they still should be part of the same access control mechanism, whatever you want to put in. All right, that's it for today's episode. In the next week episode, we will be covering next layer of the cloud security operations, so something related to virtualization security, as well as SIEM and other solutions which we can put in place to monitor what is going in and out, more towards IDS, IPS as well. A lot of interesting topics are coming up, and like I said, we will be trying to cover everything before our Christmas holidays. Not everything, only till this domain. We'll try to cover everything till this domain before Christmas holidays, so we can go to Christmas holidays with more than 50% of syllabus covered, and then when we come back, we will be wrapping up the remaining syllabus as well. Hopefully by March, maybe we can have our CCSP. And by any chance, if you get to look into this certified in cybersecurity examination, then again I'm telling, do go for it. And if you have any challenges or if you want to ask anything around that, then just give me a shout, and I don't know where you can shout at me, maybe on Twitter or LinkedIn. I'll put everything on my show notes, so you can just come in there and we can have a chat around that. So I hope you all be IC Square members soon, like me, and then we can continue our journey towards CCSP and more advanced things in the future. Alright, thank you all, goodbye and good luck.
Thank you for listening to Get Certified Together. If you loved our content, then please like and subscribe from your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss the notification for our next episodes and announcements.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.